Time for the presentations then for the men's race. Tadu Abate in third place from Ethiopia. Performed brilliantly in the second half of the race. "25 years old. It's his 10th marathon today. He was 4th last year on debut, so one better today. And he makes the podium here for the first time. 2:06.28 his time. Mark Correa came strong in the latter stages too to take second place. Just outside his lifetime best, age 37. Coincidentally, the same age as Eliud Kipchoge himself. He will be picking up a prize of $15,000 for his second place. Second place for Mark Correa on debut here in Berlin.
48th edition of the BMW Berlin Marathon with a new world record time, 2 hours, 1 minute and 9 seconds. Congratulations to Eliud Kipchoge.
Simply without parallel. Superhuman. He can barely walk, but who can blame him? 2:01.09, a new world record. 30 seconds off his previous mark set here 4 years ago. $30,000 for winning the race, another 50 for cracking the world record. And every single dollar richly deserved. A race director's dream, a marketeer's dream, and an inspiration to men, women, children all over the world. He's a humble farmer at heart, but he's a world-class athlete and a really nice fella.
And Chris, I wondered before this race if it would be Kipchoge against the clock, and that's the way it turned out. Look at that winning margin, 4 minutes 49 seconds. That must be one of the biggest winning margins in World Marathon Majors history. Valentin Troll, his manager, said he was motivated by very fast times. That's why he didn't go for New York.
They will be celebrating long and hard back in Kenya, no doubt about it. What a proud moment for the nation. Grace, his wife, and his 3 children will be watching with great pride back home. Daddy's done it. As far as I know, Tim, he's teetotal.
Well, if he were to break that later on today and have a little sup of the local amber nectar, you could hardly blame him. But I suspect it'll be water and recovery drinks and massage, the usual 101% professionalism from Eliud Kipchoge. And these other athletes too. Mark Correa, who took second place. Tadu Abate, who took third, sharing the rostrum with him there to the right of picture. 59.51 and 61.18 his splits. Compare that with his splits 4 years ago, when he ran 61.06 and 60.33. And tantalizingly, Chris, it leaves the door open for improvement, because there is undoubtedly an error in those stats. It is far from perfect. He went out much quicker today. I mean, some 50 seconds quicker than he planned. And that is a big miscalculation. And I do think, you know, yes, a world record, absolutely incredible from Kipchoge, supreme, 2:01:09, but he could have gone half a minute quicker or more had he got the timings right, the splits right. The early pace was almost suicidally quick, and it turned out to be almost suicidally quick for the others who went with him through halfway in that time.
Only 9 seconds outside a sub 2:01, and if he got that balance right, we could easily have seen the first sub 2:01 time in history. Something for them to work on. When and where do you think we'll see him again next, Tim?
Very good question. London is next Sunday. Chicago is the Sunday after that. Berlin, New York is on the first Sunday of November, as ever. But I think London's got a nice ring to it in April, although he has stated he wants to win all 6 World Marathon Majors. Boston, of course, will be next April. There's a really tantalizing, tempting, I should say, option for him. And then the other one, of course, is New York. So next year, does Kipchoge go Boston and New York? Do the Americans get treated to a double display of this incredible athlete?
So Boston, New York 2023, Paris 2024.
Olympics 2024. Nobody else has won 3 Olympic titles. At the moment, of course, he's up there as Kipchoge, with just 2 athletes in history who have double Olympic gold. Waldemar Cierpinski of East Germany, 76 and 80. The most recent of that pairing. And I think Kipchoge is quite capable of going one above him and Abebe Bikila, who won consecutive Olympic golds in 60 and 64. The great Ethiopian. It would make him unique. And this is a man who is motivated by fast times, as Valentine said, his manager, but also by gold medals, by titles. And when I say gold medals, I mean Olympic gold medals, because the World Marathon title is not held in anything like the same regard, with all due respect, as the Olympic title. Everybody turns up to the Olympic Games marathon. That is absolutely what you cannot say about the World Marathon Championships, where in Eugene 9 weeks or so ago, there were many, many absentees because of today's race, because of London next week, Chicago the week after that, and then New York. I mean, 4 World Marathon Majors in very, very quick succession. Pretty much drained the pool of talent.
So there, the current standings, the updated standings in the World Marathon Majors leaderboard, and that will conclude this current series in New York on the 6th of November. And with that win, Eliud Kipchoge moves ahead of Tamrit Tola, who did take the world title in Eugene just, 8 weeks ago. Mark Correa up into 4th place. It's Kenyan dominant, as we've come to expect. Just Bashir Abdi, the only non-East African on that leaderboard.
Easy to forget, isn't it, that as our coverage draws to a close, the athletes have been running for 2 hours, almost 2 hours 49 minutes since the gun went at 9:15. Have not been out there for 2 hours 49 minutes yet. They've been out there for considerably less. And the streets will remain packed with runners and spectators enjoying this glorious September Sunday for many, many hours yet.
Yeah, it's a hugely, hugely popular destination to come to run a marathon. A lot of international runners here as well. As we mentioned, 157 different nations represented here today. With some tired bodies on trains and flights later today and tomorrow. Many people will stay for an extra day or two and
moments in the last few minutes. Just a reminder that Keira D'Amato today finished in 6th place for the USA with 2:21.48. She went through halfway in 69.27. Couldn't hold it together through the second half, but she will come back fighting fit, I'm sure, when she gets a proper recovery period between today and her next marathon.
And just to complete the other results, if you're just joining us, Marcel Hug in the men's wheelchair race. Perfect 7 for him, a 7th Berlin success, 1:24.56 for the silver bullet, and a surprise in the women's wheelchair race. It was a Swiss winner. It wasn't Manuela Scher, as expected. It was Catherine de Brunner making her full debut in the marathon, 1:36.47, so making it a Swiss double once again. But Hug
improved his world record by 30 seconds today, so rather conveniently, it's almost exactly takes that down by a second per kilometre. About 2:52 per kilometre, there or thereabouts. Fancy popping down to your local track? It's a real cliche. Go down to your local track and try and run a kilometre in.
I know.
But 2:52 on the clock. I suspect these are athletes who were started in the first wave. Would have to be, otherwise they've been running spectacular times. But all these souls will finish a long way under 3 hours. Many, many personal bests unfolding here today in these perfect conditions, where Berlin Perfect has applied itself to the vast majority, I suspect, of the 57,000. Was it 57,000 who accepted the invitation? Around 45,000, excuse me. Getting carried away with my figures. 45,000, just over 45,500 registrations from 157 nations, including Brazil.
And when you think, Tim, that this fabulous race was first run on the 13th of October, 1974, and we had 286 starters. Only 10 of them women, and 244 finishers. How times have changed.
I know. Do you know what? Seeing that Brazilian flag held aloft, so proud of the figures. I thought 2:06 for a marathon. No, that's impossible. But of course now you can go to the all-time performance lists, and there are dozens and dozens of athletes who have hammered 2:06. That's the way the sport progresses, the way all sport progresses. He is now the 19th fastest individual in the history of the Berlin Marathon. Well, he was prior to today. He's gone down a few notches since that, as Ronaldo da Costa, the great champion here in Berlin 24 years ago.
And still they come.
Kipchoge. Firstly, one was the physical effort of getting the two halves of the race right. 4 years ago, it was believed he ran the first half too slow, and then he finished like a train in 60.33. And the second area was the psychological approach to the race. Go out with more confidence, which he didn't do, and attack that first half and take the risk of having a very tough second half. Well, he has ticked both those boxes, but still came home with a performance that some would call imperfect. His first half was overly quick at 59.51, and his second half at 61.18 a lot slower. But the women's race, well, it was in its own way as spectacular. Rosemary Wanjiru and Abeyachu in second and third, celebrating big style, and so they should have done, because they finished a long way under 2:20. But the winning performance of Tigist Assefa in only her second ever marathon, and an improvement of some 19 minutes, was legendary. It will become the stuff of legends. This is an athlete who's run 1:59 for 800. She has great track ability in her past. Her preparation, she said, was absolutely perfect. But boy, I bet she never dreamt she'd run 2:15. Tasha Woda of Canada, 2:23.12 today. That's fabulous to hear. Only a few years ago that the Canadians were desperately trying to get a woman under 2:30 to give their national record some international respectability. Well, Tasha Wodak has taken a massive chunk off their national record today. Well done to her. was a 2:24.2 performer before today. She improves massively on that. She joins sub-2. What a debut this was from her. Some way behind the eventual winner, but nonetheless, the young Kenyan producing a very debut, but it might as well have been, prior to today, her personal best 2:34.01 in today, 2:15.37. What more might she bring to the discipline of marathon running? The trophy, the flowers, the watch, and of course, the laurel wreath. 2:15.37. The Kenyan double done today by Eliud Kipchoge and Rosemary Wanjiru. The Ethiopians will want to change that in 12 months' time. But Rosemary Wanjiru will hear now the Kenyan national anthem, and I suspect a few more times in the future. So Rosemary Wanjiru, justifiably all smiles with that second place, a debut of debuts, but Tigista Sefer it is, the champion. 2:15.37. She's had quite a year, a half marathon personal best in Herzogenaurach at the headquarters of her shoe company. Back on the 30th of April, 67.28 to win in the half marathon. There, a 10 kilometers road personal best. Just in late June, 30.52 in Lango. And then, well, her marathon personal best was set back in March, the 5th of March in Riyadh, 2:34.01. Today, she's rewritten that by a margin that it's just hard to get your head around. How do you go from 2:34 to 2:15? And it's not like her 2:34 was a winning performance. She was a 7th in that race, and it was won in 2:26. So she was some 7.5 minutes or so behind the winner in Riyadh. And yet today, she wins by almost 2.5 minutes from Rosemary Wanjiru. Spectacular stuff from Tigista Sefer.
Great story. And these glasses, Tim, are almost a quarter of the height of the athletes themselves. It is alcohol-free, don't worry.
Quite a contrast, too, between Tigista Sefer, her experience in Rio. She was 4th in her heat of the 800 metres in Rio. Eliud Kipchoge won the marathon. Well, they're both marathon champions today. There are the standings for the Abbott World Marathon Majors at the moment. Gotitom Gebreselassie with 34 points is in the lead, but Tigista Sefer, today's champion, 25 points for her with that win. Brynhild Kosgei have 25 points, of course, for her last win in the World Marathon Majors. Perez Jepchirchir as well. And Rosmi Rangiru, 16 points for her second place today. All to play for, plenty of World Marathon Majors races coming up in the next few weeks, indeed 3. London next week, Chicago the week after, and then a couple of weeks after that, or a month or so after that, of course, the New York City Marathon. Well, there's the TV tower looking down upon the city of Berlin. Goodbye from all of us here in Berlin. The 48th edition of the BMW Berlin Marathon has been special. There are our champions, Eliud Kipchoge of Kenya and Tigist Assefa of Ethiopia.